The book of Psalm, chapter 91 declares, He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall by thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Most people read Psalm 91 as a chapter about protection, but that's not what it is. This is a map of the inner temple, a blueprint of what God does to a soul when He hides it behind the veil. Every line in this psalm is describing the architecture of concealment, of transformation, and emergence. This isn't a promise of safety. It's a diagram of metamorphosis. And in this lesson, we're not just reading Psalm 91, we're stepping inside of it. This is the veil of the soul. There's a secret chamber inside every human being that no surgeon can locate, no MRI can map, and no scholar can fully describe. Scripture calls it the secret place. Mystics call it the inner chamber. Scientists call it the zero-point interior field. But the ancient ones, the ones who saw without eyes, called it something deeper. They called it the veil. Not the veil over the temple, not the veil between heaven and earth, but the veil inside of you, a multi-layered membrane between your human awareness and your divine architecture. And when God hides you, He's not hiding you in a season. He is hiding you into yourself, inside your own inner temple. Let's reflect on the deeper meaning of the tabernacle. The outer court maps to your body. The holy place maps to your mind. The Holy of Holies maps to your spirit. And the veil maps to the threshold between the mind and the spirit, between who you think you are and who you actually are in God. This is what I mean when I say the veil, the threshold of consciousness between them. Most people never cross that invisible membrane that leads from mind to spirit. They die with a mastered personality but an untouched essence. That invisible boundary, that psychological, energetic, spiritual membrane, that is the veil. It is the line between personality and essence, between ego and God, between the reactive self and the revealed self. When God hides you, He is bringing you in that inner threshold where the old identity must end and the true identity must begin. Quantum mechanics discovered something so strange that it shattered scientific logic. Before a subatomic particle is observed, it does not exist in one single state. It exists in every possible state at once. This is called superposition. It is not this or that. It is all possibilities alive simultaneously. Pure potential, uncollapsed, unlimited. But the moment someone observes the particle, the moment someone measures it, labels it, look at it, the wave of possibilities collapses into one fixed outcome. This is called the collapse of the wave function. Observation changes reality. Now, I want you to hear me carefully. This is exactly what happens to human potential. When your destiny is forming, you exist in superposition. 1,000 futures, 1,000 identities, 1,000 expressions still alive inside your spirit. But the moment the world observes you, the moment they judge you, expect from you, approve you, criticize you, try to define you, your potential begins to collapse into what they see. This is why God hides you. If you were observed too early, by family, by society, by critics, by culture, your possibilities would collapse prematurely. You would become what they understand instead of what God intended. So God withdraws you from observation to preserve the full spectrum of your becoming until the right identity forms. The veil protects your potential from collapsing into the wrong version of you. Scientists discovered what they call the observer effect. The act of watching a particle changes the particle. Likewise, the act of someone watches you changes you. You begin performing. You begin shrinking. You begin conforming. You begin becoming palatable. You begin becoming predictable. You become what the observers can handle, not what heaven is forming. This is why God hides you from certain eyes, certain circles, certain systems. You are too fluid to be measured, too unfinished to be defined, too divine to be collapsed. You must be formed without human measurement. Every destiny begins unobserved. Let's look at the double split experiment. The double split experiment revealed that light behaves differently when no one is watching. When unobserved, light acts like a wave, fluid, multidimensional, everywhere at once. But when observed, light collapses into particles, solid, limited, predictable. Light is freer when unseen. And so are you. Your spirit is wave-like, expansive, infinite, God-breathed. Your personality is particle-like, fixed, defined, controlled. If God revealed you too early, you would collapse into a small version of yourself before your spirit finished expanding. The veil is a double-split chamber where God keeps you unobserved so your identity can remain wave-like until the right moment. Only then can God collapse you into the correct form of yourself. That, my friend, is destiny physics. Every lineage carries trauma, memory, and patterning. Science calls it epigenetics. Mystics call it ancestral residue. Scripture calls it iniquity to the third and fourth generation. Before God reveals you, He must isolate your spirit from ancestral patterns so they cannot contaminate your destiny. For some of you, the ancestral load is heavier. That's why the veil over your life stayed longer. God was not delaying you, beloved. He was detoxing your bloodline. The veil is God's firewall. In biology, the caterpillar dissolves into fluid inside the chrysalis, a complete breakdown of identity. If someone opens the chrysalis, the creature dies. If God revealed you too early, your transformation would collapse. The veil is God keeping your chrysalis sealed until you are strong enough to emerge. Stars are born inside dark nebulae, hidden from cosmic radiation until ignition. Your identity also ignites in darkness. Visibility without ignition is vanity. God hides you until your inner star reaches critical mass. When your calling is rare, the collective unconscious tries to collapse your uniqueness back into the field of normality. This is Jung, this is Kabbalah, this is physics. Carl Jung said, every society has a collective unconscious, a psychological gravity that pulls individuals back toward the average. He warned that anyone who begins to awaken, expand, rise, or what he called individuate, will feel the tribe suddenly trying to pull them back into familiar pattern, because anything that grows beyond the group threatens the group's psychological equilibrium. In Kabbalah, this is the doctrine of Sidzim. Light must be contained or it will shatter the vessel. Too much light too fast breaks the structure. So the environment compresses the rising soul to keep the system intact. Physics says the same thing. Every system disturbed tries to return to equilibrium by collapsing the high energy element back into the low energy group. Your calling is high energy. Your environment is low energy. So God hides you until your frequency is strong enough not to collapse back into normality. You are hidden because you carry too much light for your surroundings. In every authentic mystery school, be it Kemetic, Vedic, the Essene, the first stage of initiation was always the hiding. In Kemet, initiates entered hidden chambers for years of silence and purification. In the Vedic traditions, this was tapasya, the burning away of illusion in solitude. Among the Essenes, novices were concealed until character and consciousness were refined enough to hold revelation. Across all ancient systems, hiding was not humiliation. Hiding was qualification. Only the chosen ones were hidden long enough before they were revealed. The veil doesn't lift because time passes. It lifts because your soul reaches structural coherence. Now, what is structural coherence? Structural coherence means your beliefs, your emotions, your nervous system, your identity, your destiny, your ancestral memory, your spiritual integrity are fully aligned enough to hold the voltage of your calling. Most people are internally contradictory. Their spirit wants one thing, their trauma wants another, their ego wants another, their lineage pulls another way. The veil remains until the architecture stabilizes. When interior coherence arrives, your frequency becomes stable, your spirit becomes magnetic, your identity becomes luminous. Then, and only then, the veil thins. Before we close, I want you to hear this. Normally, I outline directives. Directives are not rules. They are postures of consciousness, ways of positioning the inner life so that revelation does not fall on unstable ground. Each directive I share is a spiritual technology designed to help you hold what God reveals once the veil lifts. These are the disciplines that turn hiddenness into transformation. Here are 5 directives to follow. 1. Honor your hiddenness. Say, if you hide me, form me. Most people resist hidden seasons. They try to force visibility, manufacture momentum, or rush exposure, not realizing that premature emergence collapses destiny. To honor your hiddenness means stop fighting the dark room God placed you in. Stop assuming silence means abandonment. Stop interpreting concealment as insignificant. Hiddenness is not inactivity, it is God's workshop. When you say, if you hide me, form me, you shift from frustration to formation. You agree with the divine timing. You let God work on you without interference. Honoring hiddenness turns waiting into becoming. 2. Strengthen your inner architecture. Scripture, breathwork, stillness. The veil lifts only when your inner structure can hold the voltage of revelation. Strengthening your inner architecture means feeding the spirit divine pattern until your inner world becomes structurally compatible with God's voice. Scripture rewires identity. Scripture stabilizes consciousness. Breathwork. Breathwork regulates the nervous system so your physiology can handle spiritual increase. A dysregulated nervous system cannot hold revelation. Breath is the bridge between body and spirit. Stillness. Quieting the mind long enough for the spirit to speak without interruption. Stillness is not inactivity. Stillness is access. You're not building habits, you're building a vessel. 3. Purify your frequency. Forgiveness seals the veil. Nothing leaks energy like resentment. Nothing distorts spiritual perception like bitterness. Nothing slows destiny like unhealed offense. Forgiveness is not emotional weakness. It is energetic purification. When you forgive, your nervous system resets. Your spiritual field clears. Your intuition sharpens. Your frequency rises. Your soul becomes coherent. Forgiveness seals the veil because it removes all emotional hooks that pull you back into old cycles. You cannot cross the threshold of the spirit while dragging the debris of the past. Purity is not perfection. Purity is alignment. 4. Decode your ancestral signals. Dreams, patterns, compulsions, their data. Most people inherit more from their ancestors than physical traits. They inherit wounds, fears, instincts, patterns, behavioral loops, unfinished stories. To decode your ancestral signals means pay attention to recurring emotions. Notice patterns you didn't choose. Observe dreams that feel older than you. Recognize compulsions that make no logical sense. Detect places where you feel carried by something not entirely yours. This isn't superstition. This is epigenetic spirituality, recognizing that the soul carries memory and that God reveals what needs to be released. You cannot emerge fully until you understand what your lineage encoded in you. Ancestral decoding breaks invisible callings. 5. Live before God, not people. The veil is God's gaze, not the crowds. When you live for the eyes of people, you collapse into a version of yourself that they can control. When you live before God, you stay in superposition, expansive, authentic, uncollapsed. Living before God means your decisions come from conviction, not approval. Your identity is shaped by revelation, not applause. Your path flows from divine timing, not social pressure. Your value is drawn from presence, not performance. Your emergence is guided by assignment, not opportunity. The veil teaches you to disconnect from the noise of the crowd and align with the whisper of God. When the veil lifts, God reveals you, not because you sought visibility, but because you became visible to Him. This is a sacred curriculum. Lesson complete.